Hey, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to the Jitsu Motors channel. My name is Kaden. I run the social medias for Jitsu Motors, and this is my 1991 Nissan 180SX. I was thinking and I realized I've never actually made an in-depth long-form video about this car for the channel, so I want to show it to you guys today. I also want to talk about why I think it's still a great idea to import these cars from Japan, how I found this car, and how you could get one too. So why did I buy an S13? The answer is honestly pretty simple. I'm really just a hardcore 90s Nissan fan. I've had an R33 before, I've had an R34, but I've always wanted an S13. Ever since I could drive, ever since I had my license, my phone was filled with screenshots of S13s on Facebook Marketplace, and for some reason, I just never got one. But when I moved to Japan about 9 months ago, I saw it as the perfect opportunity to finally get into one of my dream cars, the Nissan S13. To me, I think the S13 is just the peak 90s sports car because they're old, rear-wheel drive, they're kind of slow, but they're a lot of fun, they're really lightweight. And sure, the other S chassis are really cool, S14s, S15s, but to me, the S15s are honestly a little too new. They're great cars and they're probably mechanically better in every single way, but the S13 just has that really old charm. It looks older, the interior, the seats, everything is older about it. I think it makes for a really cool, stylish, soulful car. Now, that's just my opinion, and with that being said, I would love to own an S15, I would love to own an S14, I would absolutely drive those cars, but I had to check an S13 off the list first. Now, you guys with a keen eye might notice something, and that is that my front end does not match up with my rear end. This car is a 180SX. The dead giveaway is obviously the hatchback, and if you can't tell by that, the 180SX logo right there. But if we come to the front, we'll see my car no longer has pop-up headlights. Instead, it's been swapped with a front end from an S13 Silvia. You'll notice I'm missing this grille garnish piece that's supposed to go right in the middle there. And that's because the tabs on it were super old and broke. And I have new tabs from it from Nissan in my car. I just need to put it in. But I have fat fingers. I tried to get the clips into the tabs here and I could not get them in for the life of me. So until I find a tool for the job, it's gotta look kind of ugly. But anyways, my S13 is what's known as a Sileighty. And I'll give you the quick rundown of what that means. I'm sure you guys know, but these cars are amazing drift cars, which means they also get crashed a lot. So back in the day, street racers, drifters, they were crashing these things left and right, smashing the front ends into guard barriers, into hills. And when they went to rebuild their crashed front ends, the 180SX had pop-up headlights. And at the time, those were quite expensive to replace. They were a lot more complicated too. At that same time, Nissan sold two different S13s, the 180SX and the Silvia. Those were essentially the same car, they just had different stylings. The 180SX had the hatchback and the pop-ups, while the Silvia had a fixed headlight front end and like the coupe notchback in the rear. But because those cars were based on the exact same platform, the front ends were easily swappable. So instead of going the expensive, complicated route, racers would actually just take the front end from the Silvia, which is what you see here, the hood, the fenders, the bumper, the headlights, and my missing piece, and slap it onto the front of a 180SX. And they smushed the names together. So they took Sil from the Silvia and 80 from the 180 and dubbed this car the Sileighty. This actually became such a popular swap for this car that Nissan took notice of it. And there was a tuning company called Kids Heart. They made the conversions for these cars. They actually got the approval with Nissan, some sort of collaboration, to sell a limited run of official Nissan Sileighties at local Nissan dealerships. But they were built and tuned at Kids Heart. Those were super limited. They only made about 500 units of them, and this is not one of those cars. Those were built on later model S13s. Mine is an earlier model, so those all had the SR20. There's also said Sileighty right there on the rear taillight garnish. Mine just says 180SX. And what was cool about the Kids Heart one was, aside from the conversions, you could also option out a tune. So more power, better suspension, other cool parts for the car, so pretty neat. If you already knew about the Sileighty, chances are your knowledge came from one or two places. One being the old Gran Turismo games, and two being Initial D. Now, Initial D is actually how I found out about this car's existence. In one of the earlier seasons, Takumi actually races a Sileighty when he faces off against Team Impact Blue, with members Mako and Sayuki. So when I saw this car for sale, I knew I had to buy it. More on that later, but for now, I'm gonna show you guys the car. Now here is my favorite part about the car far and away. Aside from the Sylvia front end, everything else is almost 100% original. There's a carbon fiber shift knob and there's in-pull pedals, which are kind of original. But other than that, everything is completely stock. And that was a huge reason for me purchasing this car. I loved how OEM it was. But everything is original and in great condition. I have the OEM steering wheel, I have the OEM head unit, I have the OEM seats, although there's like a mismatch from some certain years. I don't really know what's going on there. But everything is in pretty good condition, except for that little rip. But the best part is my uncracked, pristine dashboard. If you know, you know, these uncracked dashboards are very hard to come by nowadays because these cars are old. Now I'm gonna pop the hood and show you guys the engine because it has something pretty unique under here. And if you're from Europe, you 100% know what engine I'm talking about. And if you're not from Europe, it might be a bit of a toss-up, so let's check it out. My S13 does not have an SR20. This is a CA18. It is a 1.8 liter, 4-cylinder, single turbo iron block engine. It actually shares some mechanical similarity with the RB series of engine from the Skyline, so a lot of people call these like a baby RB or mini RB. And here's the deal with these engines, okay? In Japan, the earlier years of the S13s got the CA18. After that, they got the SR20. In America, no S13s got the CA18 or the SR20. Those all got the KA. But in the European market, every S13 had a CA. Nissan never switched it over to the SR20. All you really need to know is if you're importing an S13 from Japan, the older ones could have the CA, while the newer ones have the SR. So how did I find this car? The truth is I got kind of lucky. Not to flex or anything, but just being honest, it is really hard to find an S chassis this nice nowadays. Most of them have been drifted, raced, crashed, overly modified, so finding one that hasn't had any of that done to it is honestly exceedingly rare. There is minimal rust. If it's there, it's surface rust. The body is straight. There are no signs that this car has ever been crashed or ever been drifted. And that's really, really hard to find nowadays. So when I first moved here, I was just scrolling on Marketplace and I saw this car for sale at a local dealership. I mean, it wasn't super local. It took me like an hour and a half to get there. I had to take 2 trains, a bus. I had to walk a mile, but super worth it. But anyways, the pictures just look so nice. The dealer had this car up for like half a year, but they recently dropped the price to a really good price. I mean, their price was beating some of the prices at the auction, which that is rare in and of itself because the auction has wholesale prices. That's where dealers get their cars and then put a markup on them. So I hit up my friend, he's owned like 4 different S13s before, so he knew exactly what to look for. And I was like, dude, I'm looking at these pictures. If it turns out to be as good as the pictures show, then I need to go buy this car today. And he's like, no, 100%. So he went with me, we gave the car a thorough inspection, and it just wasn't too good to be true. So I just pulled the trigger, went for it, and bought the car. So that's my story, and now you might be wondering, how can I get a car like this from Japan? My absolute best and most honest recommendation is to work with our company. Importing a car from Japan in general is not that hard, but you cannot do it by yourself. You need someone who's here in Japan who's able to go visit these local dealerships and visit the auctions and be your boots, eyes, and ears on the ground in person. These cars are super old. My S13 is over 30 years old. I would have never bought this car sight unseen. There's just too much that can go wrong. You don't know if there's hidden rust. You don't know if there's been mistreated unless you have someone in Japan go and look at it for you. And chances are you're not gonna find the perfect car for you right off the bat like I did. There's gonna be a lot of searching, a lot of traveling involved, more often than not, a lot of Japanese that need speaking, especially if you wanna find these older, rarer cars that are off market in a sense, and I mean like they haven't been exported and the whole globe doesn't have access to buying these cars yet. It's really important to have someone here in Japan doing the work for you. And that is my honest recommendation. Working with a company like ours that knows these cars and can go inspect them and communicate with you and tell you what's good and what's bad about the ones we find, that is so important. It's gonna save you a lot of money in the long run. It's gonna save you a lot of headaches because, to be honest, a lot of these cars here in Japan are kind of crappy. And I really don't want you guys to get stuck with a bad car because that can get expensive real quick. I've played that game before, guys, trust me. When I imported my old R34, the company I had as a broker just outsourced the inspection to someone else. They took a bunch of photos of that car and the engine. I thought it looked okay, but they didn't give it an inspection. And upon arrival, it was running horrible. The engine bay was a mess. And I want to save you guys from that fate. So if you really want to get a high quality car from Japan like my S13, just shoot us a DM on our Instagram at Jitsu Motors or submit an inquiry on our website. I'm gonna link both in the description. And that is how, but why should you still import an S chassis from Japan rather than buying it in your home country? The main reason is going to be price. Oftentimes you can find these cars for a lot cheaper than you can actually buy them in your home country, especially if you use the auction system. Next, here in Japan, you can find a lot of hidden gems, and I think my car is the perfect example. Back home in America, what are the odds of me stumbling upon this car at a local dealership? I would say extremely low. But here in Japan, those chances are a lot higher. Exhibit A. And lastly, in Japan, it's harder and more expensive to register and keep old cars on the road. So, in my experience, a lot of them have a lot lower kilometers and they haven't been driven as much. And if that's something that interests you, then it might be worth looking into importing a car from Japan. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you for letting me show off my car. And again, if you guys are looking to import a car from Japan to your home country, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We love helping people find their dream JDM car just like I found mine. And if you guys have any questions about this car, feel free to leave a comment. I am happy to answer them, maybe even make another video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on our Instagram at Jitsu Motors for more regular content. Peace. Thank you guys for watching.